Here we go again. Patchy cloud is continuing. Again, as long as that misting stuff stays away, that's where we're gonna run into some problems. So here you can see that we're into the shield country here. Look at this big swamp. So today is, again, it's the 18th of October. It's the opening day for big game here in Ontario. So there's probably plenty of hunters out. Some people that I know out hunting moose. Late this year, usually it's the weekend before. Usually it's Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, but for some reason it's a weekend behind this year. I'm not sure why. So anyway, I didn't pass anybody on this stretch, but when I was driving in on the east side of Oscar, I drove by somebody. So here it looks like this piece of grade was repaired, so that the beaver may have built a dam here and may have washed out this section of grade, because this definitely looks like it's been repaired. Oh, you get into these spots and the sand on the grade's soft and it's hard to pedal. Again, another telegraph pole with no sans arms. So I'm not sure where this goes to. It's on my GPS. So here we're going to get into a cut. Again, you can see the very sandy nature of the soil with all the jack pines and stuff growing up. The jack pines like that really sandy soil. There's another road that goes off this way. I can see it on my GPS. You can see it's grown in, but it veers off that way, so probably a logging road. Lots of trees down in places. So here you can see there's a little bit of rock work. I don't know how well you can see it. Just a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 feet high. Again, you can see the age of it all covered over in moss, and again you can see the sandy nature of the cut here. You can see all those jack pines that are growing up. So see, it looked like the sun was going to come out and it clouded up again. So again, just as long as it doesn't mist, because it seems like every time it does that, every time it clouds up like this, then the mist comes down. Okay, let's zip you ahead a bit here until we get to something to talk about. Oh, hold on a second. So here you can see, especially on this side here, it looks like they may have dug some material out of here, right? Probably this was a big ridge of till here, because again you can see how everything slopes off that way, and you can see how far away the cutting is on that side. So they may very well have dug material out here way back when they built the railway line. Again, you can see all these jack pines that are growing up. It's all sand under here. All right, let's zoom ahead now. Okay, I lied again. So we have another feature coming up. So somewhere in this area here, again, you can see, it looks like there's a little bumped out area here. We're on the shores of this lake. You can see it's all sandy. You can see all the jack pines that are growing. Okay, you can see kind of a little bumped out area here on this side, kind of going all the way up to this next sort of shore of the lake on this side. Right, so all in through here. You can see my marker. So again, in through here. So somewhere in here, there was another logging spur. Now here's the problem. It's kind of an interesting situation. It doesn't show up on any timetables. The reason why I know it's here is because I found a document at Library and Archives Canada whereby the company was applying to construct the spur. So we have the application, it just doesn't show up on any timetable. So let me grab my notes here. Get the right page. So we are at milepost 111.54 or 111.77. So the document is dated, I believe, November of 1917. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I'll show you the document, but basically it's in the fall of 1917, and it's basically the Hockwell Company, who did have some other spurs on this line, basically applying to construct a spur in this area. Now here's the interesting thing about it. So this is obviously the fall of 1917. Okay, like I said, most likely I think remember November. On the 1918 timetable that I have, which is in October, it doesn't show up. So either it was never constructed, or it was here just for the winter of 1917, 1918, and then they pulled it up because it's not here in October of 1918. So this is where kind of a bit of the mystery comes in. So what I'll do is I will show you that document. Okay, so let's pause here for a moment, and then we'll resume momentarily. Okie dokie, back in the saddle. So again, you can see there's an old, I think that's on my GPS, you can see there's an old road that kind of goes that way. Again, you can see how sandy this area is with all the jack pines, and you can actually see the sand in pockets over there. Okay, so what is coming up here? It's just marking that spur again, but obviously there's no way the spur can be over here because you can see we're up on an embankment. So yeah, we're up on an embankment here. You can kind of see the swampy terrain. You can see all the nice brilliant yellow or goldy colored tamaracks, telegraph poles that are missing arms. This is, so in the summer I bought a new camera, and I think this is really the kind of the first bit of video that I've done with that it's been sort of consistently cloudy. So curious to see how it turns out. All right, so we've done 20K. So we should have less than 20K on the way back. Sorry, should be less than 10K from here to get back. Wow, I'm just a hot mess today. So I think we're coming into a rock cut here. I remember this. I remember this tree down. And there's my marker. So it's cloudy, so we can forego the one that we previously did, and we'll just kind of walk our way through here. So not particularly high, kind of here maybe in that 7-foot range or so. Again, you could see the very irregular nature of the sides of the rock cut. What's interesting here, first of all, you can see this anchor pin bolt that's been put into there, but additionally, maybe it's hard to see, but you got drill marks. You got a drill mark there, you got a drill mark there, and you got a drill mark there. Those are not very common on the rock cuts on this line. You don't see them very, very often. Obviously today, when they do blasting work, you see the drill marks all the time, because literally they drill and then they blow right along those drill marks, and the explosives that they have today just literally just shear off the rock kind of in these nice symmetrical rock cuts. You don't get all of this sort of irregular and kind of jagged cuts that you would have got back during this time, 1905, 1908, because of the primitive techniques and technology that they had to do the blasting. So again, you get these very non-symmetrical sides to the cuts. So it continues on here. Again, you can see the jack pines growing up beside, on top of, through the sides of the rock cut. All right, let's motor on here. It's kind of nice when you get into these treed areas, because you don't feel the wind as much, because that wind is cold. And so here we're coming through yet another rock cut, just a little itty bitty one. Again, it's mostly just a cutting with a tiny little bit of rock work in there. You can see it's not particularly high, and again, really this is the end of it here. Okay, what's coming up here? Okay, so coming up here, as we get into this beautiful section here with all these tamaracks, you can literally see the needles coming down. Again, you can see all the needles on the road. It gives it this sort of this very beautiful, brilliant, goldy appearance. It's just quite beautiful. So here we have yet another one of these sections where it doesn't really show up very well here, because you can see we're in an embankment and it's way down low, but for some reason the ditching was pushed out farther. I'm not particularly sure why. There's a really long one up ahead, right, where it just kind of goes on and on and on. And that one is fairly close to the level of the grade, so that one may in fact have been a siding or some sort of spur, because this doesn't really look like there's much of anything in there. So I think there are some telegraph poles in here. That's what I'm seeing on my GPS here. They again come and go in sections. So there's the pole, and you see the usual, I don't know how well you can see it, the usual pattern with the aqua colored CD145s in the middle pegs, close to the middle of the pole, and the clear Dominion 42s on the outside. We'll see a CD145 a little bit more close up later on. See, you get out in the open and that wind. Oh, it's cold. I got a couple of, it's one of those goofy days where I was kind of warm with 2 layers before, and I didn't have my gloves on because it's hard to take pictures with my gloves on. But I do have my skull cap on, and I guess now I'm kind of going more into the wind, and she's chilly. Winter is coming. So again, you can see another one of these sort of swampy areas. You can see where all the tamaracks are. You can see all the tamaracks beside the grade here. Again, just gorgeous. Again, it just doesn't look any better than this with the cloud really makes that goldy colored, those goldy colored needles of the tamarack really pop. But that wind is cold. So there's a couple sections on this line. I think this is one of them. I don't know if this is a curve. There's a couple sections on this, couple spots on this section where you get these little kind of bump outs, like these little curves, and I don't know what they were curving around. I think the previous one by Oscar, they were going around a ridge, and there's one over here. I don't know if this is it, again, because yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I think this is one of these little bump outs here. Again, not sure why they did that. Maybe I'll show you the map here and you can see a little bit better. So I think I missed it, but this is one of those sections here where you can see the bump out of the that there was some sort of siding here. Maybe I'll show that to you. Okay, let's hold up here for a minute and then we'll resume in a second.